Welcome back into the studio, friends. In today's pastel painting lesson, we're exploring soft pastel layering techniques that help grasses and wildflowers feel naturally woven together, not simply pasted on the surface. So if you love impressionistic landscapes and want to learn more about soft pastel painting, today's lesson is for you. Let's get started. First, I want to share that if you're a patron of mine on my Patreon page, you are getting the full extended version of this lesson. I will teach my 7 steps to creating lush, layered meadows. But not to worry, those watching on the Monet Cafe YouTube channel, you will still get plenty of content in this lesson. It will be sped up quite a bit more, but I'm going to go through the 7 stages of creating these lush, thick meadows that feel like they just have a tangle of buried flowers. And be sure to stay tuned towards the end, where I'm going to show you how I use some fixative to get an extra special meadowy effect. Now, let me just share this first off, and we'll get into the video. If you would like to become a patron of mine on my Patreon page and get all of the full content, including this video and hundreds more, I'd love for you to join my Patreon family. It's just such a beautiful community, and I love seeing your artwork. It's only $5 a month, and I have a coupon code that's valid until May 31st. It's going to be tomorrow. I'm uploading this video on the 30th. So take advantage of 60% off the first month. It's just the first month only, but use that coupon code, and I'd love for you to become part of our beautiful family. And now first, let's go over these products. I am using a surface that's awesome for pastel painting. It's called Canson Mitons Velvet, or just Canson Velvet. I'm using the dark surface in this pad that has a few different gray tones. The size is approximately 12 by 16. It is water friendly, but I won't be using any wet media for this. And I'm using mostly Earthberry pastels for this painting. I love this little set. It's called The Living Landscape, and these are colors curated by artist Kim Eshelman. What a fantastic soft pastel artist she is. And it's just a sweet little happy landscape color set of 18 colors. And I'm just showing how fantastic Earthberry pastels are. I call this my finger test. You can just see how wonderful the color is when you just rub your finger across. I love that purple in the bottom right corner. This is my Fields of Sunshine set that I curated through Earthberry Pastels. I love Earthberry Pastels, the company, the people, they're fantastic. I'm showing you some of these colors. And I had said in my video, like 2 videos ago, how well my set and Kim's set worked together. So I decided to do a painting using both sets. Now, I want to share with you another product that I think will be exciting for many pastel painting artists. So many times pastel artists talk about the dust from soft pastels. I've been able to manage it with all kinds of techniques, but I've often had a little Hepa filter fan. Many of mine in the past have been very large, and I saw this one on Amazon. I thought, oh my gosh, look how perfect this is. It fits right underneath your easel or near you when you're painting, and that's where it pulls it in the top, the dust, and it doesn't really blow the dust out of the side. It filters it. But I'm showing you a little test I did here. Now, I put this in slow-mo. I wanted to see, is this really sucking down the pastel dust? So I got me a match. Do not try this, guys. And look, it sucked it right down into the filter. So yes, it's gently sucking in your pastel dust. It didn't hurt my fan, by the way. And I'll have a link to this fan in the description of this video. It comes in other colors as well. All right, let's look at this reference image. I loved it. It's from unsplash.com. I mean, if I was going to teach about a layered meadow effect, this was the perfect image. Just look at that tangle of wildflowers and grasses. You don't have to work on a dark surface or a surface like I'm using here for this painting. Use what you have. Goodness knows I couldn't buy all of these products when I was first getting started. And you learn so much by just improvising. So again, don't stress if you don't have all these products. Now I'm just using, why am I using a pink pastel? Well, for one, it showed up. I'm just doing a sketch on this dark surface because, you know, if you have a light surface, you use a dark, sketching implement. So, and I just like this pink color. So I am getting a sketch that's so basic. That's why I'm speeding this up. It is nothing special. It's a really easy image. You've got, some hills, a few mountains, and a few trees. So you just sketch them in. And a little apology right here at the beginning, you're going to see in just a minute. I don't do this often, but I started painting and did not have my camera on. Fortunately, I caught it pretty quickly, but here was the stage. Don't worry, I'm going to show you the 2 colors that I used to do this. I'm shaking my hands. It was a green right here. I think that one's from my set. I don't know if it's mine or Kim's. Just showed you what I did there. And this purple, that purple is from Kim's set, Kim Eshelman's set. And I just sketched in some of the trees. That's it. That's the only two colors you missed there. So now you can see me again doing the same thing with some of the trees in the distance. Let's talk about stage one for creating these lush, magical meadows. And that's pretty similar to almost every painting. It's the block-in stage. We're really just establishing our main large shapes, values, and colors, because this is a large painting, about 16 inches across by 12 inches tall. It takes a while between these stages, okay? So there's a lot to block in other words. So I'm going to speed through this section until we get to stage two. And like I've said before, this stage is common for really just about any pastel painting, especially landscape painting. You've just got to block in these big shapes, colors, and values. And that's what's going to lend itself to a more painterly final result. And I didn't know any of this when I first got started. And if I can do it, you can do it. Don't worry if things look a little chunky or textural or weird at these beginning stages. That's just the nature of pastels. It's all about layering, but you might want to do like I did here. I used a large brush and I clean it off by just wiping it on some paper towels. And then I used a smaller brush to blend in smaller elements or these mountains. And that's just a makeup brush my daughter-in-law gave me. I don't really wear makeup very much, and she knew I would use it for painting most likely. And it's super soft, as well as that first brush that I used. And I think you can see it kind of turns things almost into a painterly look. It just blends really nicely. Now, I don't over blend in any of my paintings. I think one more time in this tutorial, I blend the mountains. No, I think it's the sky I end up blending later. But I only do this at beginning stages because it's just a great way to really sort of fill in all that blank space of the paper showing through. All right, speeding it back up again, and I'm just showing you blocking in the sky. And I'm once again using a brush. This is the smaller brush to really soften that sky. And now I'm going to add a little bit of lavender to this sky. So I have things pretty much covered for this block-in stage. And now it's time to move to stage two for our beautiful lush meadow effect. I call it down deep. And this is where we are establishing those deep shadows. I want to add a little warmth to this too. That was kind of a little color note there. But I already have some fairly dark values, but there's some areas in this meadow where we have grasses that are really close to the viewer. It's almost like you're in the vantage point of being down low. And we're kind of in the midst of lots of grasses and weeds. And so we're seeing all of the roots and the shadows. This will make more sense as we develop the painting. And I definitely wanted a sense of golden color. And like I said, bringing a little warmth into the painting. And warm colors typically advance. They are usually more in the foreground than in the distance. Things kind of cool off in the distance and get a little bit more neutral as things recede. So just keeping those little principles. I talk about those principles all the time. If you're new to my channel, I sound like a broken record sometime, but it's because these same principles really apply in just about every painting. All right, now you can see how I've got a little more depth to my foreground and some of my colors. I'm feeling really good about that. I'm reestablishing this dark value in my foreground trees and kind of reshaping them a little bit. It's always like a little ebb and flow with the painting process. Stage three is sketch in the focal rhythm. Sometimes I do this a little earlier in the painting than I'm doing it here, but these flowers are fairly small, so I knew I could kind of add them. They're not really going to be on top. They're on top right now, but the goal is to bury them. So the first thing here in stage three is establishing a rhythm, a focal, I always think of it like a dance of how you're pulling and leading the viewer into your painting. And I really want to pull the viewer up from the lower right corner and kind of point them into that little break in between the trees there and going back towards the mountain. So stage four, here we are, is I'm already thinking about the fact that I'm going to bury some flowers. One of the goals of this lesson is to keep you from feeling like you have flowers just pasted on top of a bunch of grasses. So we're not done yet. We're going to be adding lots of grasses. We're going to bury some of these flowers. Now, this flower here happens to be a focal point flower. I want to slow it down here for you. This is a pretty little taupe color. Now, why am I not using white here? You know, these daisies are white. Well, it's because I know they have a little bit of shadow to them, and I add always a little bit of a darker value first, and then my lighter highlights you'll see me do later for where the sunshine is hitting on some of these petals. There are different varieties of flowers in this field, and I really loved these little kind of burgundy purplish thistle flowers. So I'm going ahead and getting in a little of those. Again, just developing my focal interest here, giving some definition, but trying not to get too carried away with details at this phase. This leads us to stage 5, a very important stage, and I call it masses, not grasses. We're going to paint not individual blades of grass. We're going to turn our pastel on the broad side and just create wide, gentle, not pressured strokes, just kind of covering things. And right now I'm using more of a vertical stroke, but later you'll see me, I vary it up and avoid patterns and things just looking the same. Now I'm making my strokes perhaps even more broad with a little bit of gesture to represent just some light that's catching on the grasses that are closer to the viewer. Notice they're a little taller. Things are definitely taller and more vertical in the foreground, and they kind of flatten out as they move into the distance. Now, I'm keeping a little bit of this at real time. I wanted to show you the edges of these Earthberry pastels because they're rectangular, really make a nice little fine fractured line you can create for your stems, for your flowers. The goal of stems, keep them thin with somewhat of a broken line and gestural, of course. All right, now, as promised, this is a little trick. I actually learned this trick from artist Karen Margulis, fantastic pastel artist, and it's a way that you can use fixative during the working phases of your painting. I never spray my painting at the end with fixative. I get that question all the time because it darkens the final painting. You can see that happening here. Now it will dry a little bit lighter. But why am I doing this? I'm trying to get some extra texture and another layer to this that my final grasses are going to be on. You're going to see this effect. It really works great. Now this fixative I'm using, I'm just giving little spurts of it, and I put the paper towel there to protect my pastels underneath. I'm going to talk more about why I do this and the results in just a bit, but I wanted to share that they do not have this Blair low odor fixative anymore. I don't know why they quit making it, but I do have some fixatives that I recommend. I have a video, I'll put the link in this description, where I give a review of all of these different fixatives. And my favorite, I think, is the first one there, Latour Fixative by Sennelier. Now I'm speeding this back up again. I think you'll be able to see because of the fixative, able to achieve this texture, and I'm also not blending the layers of pastel underneath. And the reason why is because the fixative set that first layer or layers of soft pastel and almost gave me, and did give me actually, an additional layer, like a fresh layer, so it doesn't disturb the underneath painting. I think that's really cool. All right, let's get to stage 6, which is sprinkles. That's what I call it. It's where I am adding more definition, value, and saturation to parts of the painting, specifically, usually, the flowers. And here you can see I'm adding contrast by giving some little dark, like seed pods or something. Doesn't that give more interest to the painting? So it's as if in this stage, I'm just bringing life to this meadow and looking for these beautiful little opportunities to add little tidbits and flowers and elements that will accentuate my other focal point flowers. Here's an example of adding more saturation. I really wanted these thistle flowers to pop with color. That's a little Jack Richardson pastel. It's from the set called Reds, but it has pinks and reds and oranges in it. Now I'm going to show you how I'm going to revisit the stage called Buried Flowers. Notice in the lower right corner, I had some little bits of pink down there. These are flowers that I'm just giving an idea that they're buried beneath. I'm not giving them a lot of detail, but just suggesting, even ones far away. And I often find that it's a good idea to take a pastel color that's in your flowers and just glaze it throughout the grasses. You're going to see me do it with this one too. This is a pretty little, I don't know, the field seemed like it had these little weeds that had this little brownish red color in it. So I'm just giving really random little marks. And here I'm developing one of those weeds right here. I'm turning the Earthberry pastel on its side again. And here I've moved back up mid-painting, and I knew I wanted to negatively carve into that band of trees kind of coming down the mountain. So I'm carving the hill into the trees, giving a little bit more brightness. I wanted to brighten this painting up. And now I'm adding just some of my highlights onto some of these evergreen trees. You see, it's just a green that's a little bit lighter value, and I really made them stand out. I wanted to give the mountain a bit more of a Smoky Mountain feel. The reference image looked more like Rocky Mountains, but hey, I'm a Smoky Mountain kind of girl. And so I just gave it some pretty blue and a little bit more development into the sky. And I'm trying to bring a value balance to this piece as a whole because I lightened up that middle ground field. I wanted to lighten up the sky as well. Now look at that pretty little golden color. That's not an Earthberry pastel. I think that is actually a Richardson pastel as well. Bringing some sunshine down into these grasses. Notice just the kind of chunky strokes. I still haven't really made, other than a few little tidbits, many individual blast grades. I'm doing a little negative painting here, carving in between some of those trees. And here's an earthy kind of a brown. Remember too, your meadows, it depends on the meadow, but often they have various colors and textures and weeds and elements. So resist the urge to just have all of your grasses, all green color in your meadow, in other words. Now I developed a few more of those weeds for focal point interest. You see how it's coming to life because of all of this layering and these stages that I've tried to hopefully thoroughly explain to you so you can try it yourself. Now just reestablishing some of these flowers. This is the fun part, just bringing life and energy and focal point interest to a few specific flowers in the meadow. Developing more of these daisies. I had put down their centers before, and now I'm adding the petals to the centers. Notice I'm still using a little taupey color, especially for ones that are buried deeper or they're not a main flower. All right, that's going to lead us to stage 7. It's called random grasses. It's usually what I do at the end of a painting. Sometimes I'll fiddle around with a few more flowers, but it's definitely towards the end stage where I'll just look for opportunities to have some random grasses that bring energy and life to things. I decided I wanted to brighten this up even more in a few areas, so tweaking things. And here is the final highlights on the daisies. Look how that lighter value brought this to life. I think that color was from Kim Eshelman's set. And look at the little pops of pinkish purple and lavenders. The meadow is truly coming to life with all of this layer and energy. A few more grasses. I'm using this Prismacolor Nu Pastel, a thinner pastel. And grasses often aren't just tall and skinny, or weeds, I should say. Find different little opportunities for little tidbits of grass shapes and weed shapes and little fun mark making. Painting meadows is a favorite subject of mine, and I'd love to hear in the comments if you find that these stages, if you think this is really going to help you, and if it clicked, like you had an aha moment of I think I can do this. So there's a few more of those little weed grass shapes and tidbits that I'm adding, and you want to be careful at this stage not to overdo it too. Back away from your painting, take a break, get a cup of coffee. But I was feeling good at this point, so I went ahead and got a mat, a pre-cut mat. I like to do this often when I'm done, and I hold it up to the painting just to get a feel for the whole flow and energy of it. And I really liked it. And my camera usually doesn't give the color really well, pulled back like this. So I love to zoom in and show you a close-up. So let me zoom in a little bit here. You can see the color and texture even more clearly. And this painting took over 2 hours. I think I had to take a few breaks in between, life. But here you can see just the fun, joy joyous flowers. I always think of fields and flowers just praising the Lord. All of nature, just rejoices in the Creator. Again, the full version with much slower speeds of this tutorial is on my Patreon page. I have all of the extra goodies, including that graphic with the 7 steps for creating these lush meadows. And it's just really a beautiful community of artists. I love my Patreon family. All right, artists, I hope you enjoyed. And until next time, God bless and happy painting.